Hi, I'm Keegan, and I'm your host of Engineers in Automation. On today's episode, we're going to be talking with Liz Miller. She's the founder and CEO of Learn Robotics. We're going to talk a little bit about how she started her company. We're going to talk about growing the business. We're also going to talk about what kind of coaching she does with each of the engineers that are on her platform. Now let's go talk automation. All right, and welcome to today's episode. I'm here with Liz Miller. She is the founder and CEO of Learn Robotics. Liz, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having me, Keegan.
Yeah, great. Thanks for being here. And let's just go ahead and jump into it. Can you give us a little bit of background about yourself?
Yeah, so I'm a robotics engineer by education, got into robotics by accident, always thought I was going to become a lawyer, went to engineering school, and now I run the company Learn Robotics, where we help people upgrade for the future.
Oh, wow. And can you explain a little bit about Learn Robotics and what that is?
Yeah, so we have kind of two main areas that we help people with. We help the absolute beginner get their start in robotics through our online full stack junior roboticist certification. But I think for the people listening, you're going to be more interested in our career advancement in robotics. So taking your engineering skills and actually applying them into the robotics industry through our robotics career blueprint program.
Oh, wow. That sounds interesting. It sounds very cool. Again, before we dive too much into that, can I just ask, what made you start this company? What did you see the need for? What was that catalyst that you decided, hey, I want to start a company and learn robotics? And this is, what made you do that?
So I think I was at a point in my engineering career. I was working at Raytheon as an automation engineer, working with senior leadership, going through the process of trying to get as many robotics related skills as possible in an applied way. And there just wasn't a good way to do that without, sitting through industrial trainings, going and taking weeks, spending tens of thousands of dollars to get certifications, and then going through that process, but then not actually being able to do anything other than having a certificate. It's like you go through it, but they don't really cover your exact issue or the skill that you're actually missing. And so I went out and I created Learn Robotics. I wanted to be able to help people find what the actual problem was, fill that skill gap, so then they could go and focus their energy in a more structured way and then advance their career.
Okay. Understand a little bit. And then let me ask this. What would you say the difference is between what you're doing and say like a recruiter that wants to try to help people find a new job? What's the big difference there? Because you're more of like a coach, right?
Yeah, so we do more like career consulting. So we're going to take the engineering professional that has, that mid-level experience, and we're going to help them loosely monetize their skill set in a better way. So if you could put the energy into your engineering career and get a bigger return financially out of it, we're going to take a look at your background. We're going to look at all the things that you've done over the course of your education, your training, your professional life, and then all the things that you want to do, including your lifestyle, including your financial goals. And we're going to try to help you find a role in robotics that makes the most sense for you. And we build you a blueprint. So that blueprint is what you're going to be using in our 12-week program to actually implement the plan that's going to get you from your current regular engineering career into a $100,000 to $200,000 career working in the robotics industry. So we're less about the company and we're more about helping you find the right fit and exploring different opportunities in robotics, because even though robotics sounds very niche, it's not. Like you can go so many different directions within the industry. And we're really trying to figure out like what is the best combination of your skills to get you the most return.
Yeah. And you touched on it there briefly. You said, because I was going to ask, okay, how long does this coaching last? You mentioned what was it, 90 days or so?
Yep, 90 days.
So then let me ask my next question that I wanted to ask. Is it more like robotic side, or are you guys doing also some automation and control side as well? Or do you focus more on the robot portion?
Yep. So we have kind of two core pathways that clients will go down, and it's all based on their background and their interests, what makes the most sense. In 90 days, you're not going to become an expert of everything. You're going to become what we call a micro expert in robotics, and that's going to be based in one of the pathways. The first path is like your classic academic, robotics, software engineering, AI, algorithms, machine learning, like what you would see in research. And then the other path is what you're referring to is industrial automation and controls, where you're working in maybe more manufacturing, you're working on PLCs, you're working on industrial robots, you're using robots to complete a process. And then we'll work with you to fill in any skill gaps in either of those areas.
Okay. And then how does, I guess, would these students then determine which career path that they want? Do you guys help guide them towards one or the other, or generally is it they kind of say, oh, hey, I'm more interested in the manufacturing side of it, or no, I want to be more on, building robots. How does that work?
So the very first thing that we do with clients when they enter in the program is we build their blueprint. So we have an action plan session where we go through, and this is where it's really important to take the time to figure out what current state is. Like in the working world, we do this all the time, right? We look to see like what is currently happening as engineers, and then like what is the process we need to do to get to future state. And so we do that with the individual. So we're establishing what that current state is. What are all the skills that you're bringing to the table? What are all the experiences that you're bringing to the table? And then what we do is we look at future state. What are all the things you want to be doing? What are all of the lifestyle goals, financial goals, anything that could impact your career long term? And then we're just playing matchmaker on what makes the most sense. Like, have you considered, this particular role within industrial automation? Have you considered, this other type of role working more in a manufacturing environment? We're really looking at the custom tailored solution for the person that we're working with.
Wow, that's really cool. It's definitely unique. I haven't heard of anything else really that's like this. So it's really, really cool. Can I ask how many students right now, or clients, I guess, would you say you have?
Yep. So we enroll about 30 a month. So we're not trying to serve millions of people at a time, because as you can tell, like we're really trying to get all of the information we need to help clients make good decisions for their long-term financial success, their career success. A lot of what we're doing is bringing like the money math that isn't taught in engineering school to the client so that they can then start to financially plan long-term what their next 3 careers in the industry could look like. And then they just let time do its thing. So if they execute the plan over, a 25, 30-year career, then by the time they retire, they're set up for long-term, success. They don't have to really worry about money because they have a strategy, right? They have a plan that was built to them, and it's built around what they want.
Oh, cool. And then how big is your organization? How many people work for you? I mean, if you're bringing in 30 people a month, that's quite a lot. I mean, if you're asking me, hard to manage everybody. How many people would you say you staff right now?
Yep. So it's really funny. The company is primarily built on automation.
Okay.
So we have a lot of automation that runs the back end system.
Awesome.
So a lot of you could loosely call it like RPA, robotic process automation. So we have a lot of like classic roles that are actually done by robots. And I run a very lean team. So we have front of the house career advisors that help people go through that process of even deciding if the robotics career blueprint is a good fit. And then I lead the team of subject matter experts. So we have a few people on the industrial automation side. They specialize in controls, manufacturing, robot programming. And then we have a few people that are more academic, the masters, PhDs, focusing more on computer vision. So we run a very lean operation, but we wouldn't be able to do it without automation.
Oh, cool. Cool. And then, I guess I wanted to ask with that, how are people able to connect with these coaches and yourself? Can they do that daily? Is that a weekly meeting? How often are you connecting with an individual then? If there is a little bit of automation there, obviously, but how much are you guys able to reach out and communicate with them?
Once they're fully onboarded into the program, they get access to our private client community. So that's 24/7. I don't work 24/7, but I am very responsive. I know we have a lot of engineers that like to work, in the early hours of the morning, but I'm usually on during the day. So I mean, technically they could get as much or as little feedback as they want. That's really what we're here for. We're not, like me and my team, we're not here to provide lectures. We're here to give you feedback, because feedback is usually what's missing. Like you don't know what you don't know. And so if you do something and you have a question, that's really where we address those, is in our community. The goal is to be very action focused. And so it's like, try it, see what happens, get some feedback, and keep iterating.
Cool. So I guess with that community, is it, I just want to make sure I understand, are you able to reach out and like ask a question to everybody who's involved and then they can respond to? Oh, wow. Okay. That's cool.
Yeah. It's like,
that's awesome.
It's pretty cool. There are channels where you can converse about robotics talk, like anything that's related to robots, like the technical side. Then we have career side. We have, people sharing their wins, like any interviews, offer negotiations, accepted a new job. And then we have all of our training modules in there as well.
Cool. And then where are you finding all of these clients?
So we actually Learn Robotics started out as a blog years ago. And so we get a lot of traffic to that blog. And so a lot of our readers, they've been following me for years. They've been reading my content. They actually go through and they apply. So they've kind of built this like virtual relationship with me, and they want to have somebody that's going to actually work with them directly and give them that critical path to the next step in their career.
Cool. And then, with that, are you guys able to kind of track to see how their progress is going? Like from if somebody comes in and say, hey, I'm currently making $50,000 a year. I went through the program. Now I'm making 20% more after. Do you guys kind of track any of that information?
Yeah, it's a really good question. Yep, we do.
Okay. Yeah, good. And I'm sure you're seeing some good returns then on people that take the course. Is there a percentage average kind of that you see as a increase from a lot of these people? Can I ask that?
Yeah. So typically, and I should be careful with how I statistically say this. Some of our clients, when they go through the program, they make their money back from joining the program right when they sign into robotics. So there's an instant return on even being in the program, but over the course of a year, it's generally a 3 to 4x their investment with us.
Yeah. Wow.
And it's usually, it's interesting because their starting salaries can vary. We generally look for the mid-level engineer as like the low end. So somebody that has, 3 to 5 years of experience, they're a working professional in engineering or technology. So they're coming in, I would say on the low end, like 70,000 a year. And it could always be higher. And it's always case by case.
Right.
But our goal is to get them to 100,000 if they're below 100,000. And if they're above 100,000, our goal is to try to get them on target for 200,000.
Oh, wow.
So we're
where do I sign up?
Yeah, pretty much. So it's all based on what they're coming in with, what they're interested in. And then also putting in kind of a mini financial plan that's going to get them to where they want to be long term. So on a 5-year basis, you'd be looking at, possibly a 10x return on your money with us. So it's like, why wouldn't you do it if you want to work in engineering and you actually want to get into robotics?
Yeah. Yeah. That's neat. That's some cool information to know. And you kind of touched on it already a little bit, who your ideal client would be, somebody with a little bit of experience. Have you found any younger students potentially that aren't finding work right now that, hey, I got to get my foot in the door? And, do you have any examples of students or clients doing that, where they were struggling to get in somewhere? They worked out with you guys and then they landed the job that they wanted, their dream job, starting job.
We've had a few recent college grads. I can think of a couple off the top of my head. Electrical engineer, went through his bachelor's, was having a really hard time getting employed, settled for like a minimum wage IT job, came in, worked with us. And I think he was one of our faster clients to go through the process. I think it was within like 6 to 8 weeks, he was working, and I believe he's still working at Amazon as a robotics deployment engineer. So he went from that minimum wage IT job with an electrical engineering degree to, like probably in the 90s plus, working
Wow.
at Amazon,
Wow,
entry
that's a
level.
great story.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's one type of student. We also get a lot of students that are maybe more academic. So the master's level students that want to actually go from academia into industry. So we'll help them as well.
Yeah, and I would think that's kind of a hard transition for some. A lot of professors maybe have been out of the industry for too long, so then getting back in, maybe difficult. So I'm sure that's a different type of learning curve compared to somebody who's either already in the industry, trying to build their current, and then it's almost like two separate jobs there, right? You have because academia, I feel, is like a different animal. It's just some of the stuff is the way they're learning, the way they're teaching, and then you get out in the real world and it's like, well, I wasn't taught this, or we don't do it this way. This isn't right. But hey, you got to make it work. So I'm sure that's a new challenge for you guys as well. I do want to ask, do you guys help? It sounds like you're placing a lot of people. Do you do any work, kind of helping these people land these gigs? How does that work? Sounds like it's part of the process.
It is
that there's a list of available jobs, I guess you'd say, almost like a job board type thing, or can you talk about that at all?
We're actively expanding that part of the business right now, where we have roles that clients can get, that can apply to, that can get into. What we try to do, though, in the beginning of the program is really get clear on what they want, because in automation, like, you could have two robotics engineer job titles at two different companies, and they're totally different. And so we try to get really, really clear on what it is that the client is, like, how would they describe themselves? And once we have that, we teach them how to fish. So it's like, you need to understand how to find opportunities that relate to what you say you want to do, because if you don't know what you want to do, it's going to be really difficult in that interview to explain to the hiring manager why you're even there. So we go through this process of teaching them how to fish, how to find the right opportunities within robotics and actually get that first interview. And then we also supplement that with open opportunities. That way, it's kind of like the full stack career search. That way, like, you're not married to me and my team, but you also have some opportunities there. You're in complete control of this process moving forward.
Yeah. And then with that, it just kind of popped into my head here. Do you guys also do some coaching, some one-on-one with the interview process? I know I've been a big fan and tell people all the time, even if you're not looking for a new job, to go out and interview one or two places every couple of years, just to stay up to date with the processes. What are the questions that are coming out? I've just found that, and I myself have done it for many years, just, even if I wasn't necessarily looking, but just try to get that rhythm. Do you guys help out with that a lot with the coaching?
Yeah. So actually, one of our recent clients, he's actually offboarding because he's all set. He's landed his dream role in robotics.
Cool.
Right before his second interview, we did a mock interview, and then he went on site for that second interview, and then he got the job. So like it does, and he even said, like, it really does help, like, walking through. It's like a dress rehearsal. If you can practice through what you're going to say and how you're going to say it, you've already done it. So then you show up, you feel more confident. And then when you feel more confident, like, the hiring manager knows that you're a better fit for the role. So then you get the offer, and then negotiate the offer and start working.
Cool. So let me ask, with Learn Robotics, what's the future look like to you? Where are we going next?
Robotics is not even close to where I think it will be in the next probably 10 to 15 years. So I think if you're an engineer listening to this and you have any inkling to get into the industry, now is the time, because the wave hasn't quite hit yet. I think it will be hitting in probably the next 5-6 years. And the people that decided today that they want to get into the industry are going to be the ones leading the industry, because they're going to be 5 years ahead. So I think that that's kind of where I see things going. I think that there's this big convergence between engineering disciplines that are merging into what I call robotics. So software, hardware, systems, everything is all kind of pointing to one point. And so I think that it's a really unique time to be alive and in this space, because there's just so much innovation happening. So now would be the time to get involved if it's something you've been on the fence about doing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great advice. I couldn't have said it better myself. That was perfect. And then as your organization grows, as you continue to expand this, is there anything that you want to do with this company? Is there certain goals that you have that you want to reach? If you can talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it comes down to really just getting as many people into the robotics industry through direct mentorship, through direct guidance. I think that anytime you learn from an expert, it significantly shortens the learning curve. I'd mentioned at the beginning that I got my start in robotics by accident, and I only got into robotics because I had a mentor, and it was an accidental mentor. I didn't even know that was even a thing. So if you're listening to this and you didn't know that you could actually basically buy the skill you want or buy your future, what you want, for a fraction of the price in time and money by just working with an expert, you can make significant progress, and you'll have so much more clarity on what you should even be doing.
Yep. Great advice. And before we wrap up today, where can people find you? Where can they connect with you? How can they get in touch with you?
Yeah, the best place to go will be learnrobotics.org. You'll find all of the programs there. If you want to check it out, I've got a 12-minute training that walks through the process on how to actually get into the robotics career blueprint. It explains our process that we use, who we work with in more detail, and if it makes sense, you can submit an application to potentially work with us. You can check that out on learnrobotics.org/engineers and automation.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Liz. We'll put a link down below with all that information for everybody to go ahead and check that out. So if you guys like today's episode, please give us a like, comment, share, and don't forget to subscribe. And we hope that you join us here next time on Engineers and Automation. Thanks.
Thanks, Keegan.